All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome to yet another live stream where I'm working on my second brain application using Firestore, Swift, SwiftUI, Gemini, Genkit, and a bunch of other technologies. So if you just joined the stream, hello. Maybe you can say who you are, where you're dialing in from, and what's your drink? I'm having tea. So let me just say hello on the chat. All right, so let's see. So I should probably go live. Okay. All right. So it's really funny, right? So I don't wear any headphones because there's really nothing to hear except for myself, and it feels really weird to not, have anything in my ears while I'm on a call technically. But yeah, I think I'll get used to it. So what we did last time was to add Firestore to our application, or rather to connect the application to Firestore so that we could save stuff into Firestore. Hey, Lars, good to see you. Greetings to Hanover. Cheers with tea. And so we stored stuff into Firestore. And before we can get any further, I think the next thing that we need to do is, provide some sort of UI so that it's actually possible for people to add stuff into the application, right? And this is what we're going to do today. Let me switch over. And all right, so that seems like you should be seeing everything. So just to recap, here is the application. I'm going to run this real quick, and then I'll show the experience side by side. So here is the application, and here is the Firestore console. And we've got live sync. So if I make a change in the application, for example, mark this item as red, we should see this flash up in the console, and vice versa. So we can go in and, for example, change this one here to true. And then we should see the flag appear here. Let's do this one more time. Click on favorite, the flag disappears, and it also changed here. Cool. So I think what I'm going to do first is I'm going to first add a new view, and then we can hook this up to our to the rest of the UI. So hey, Carter. Hello to the Bay Area. Well, pre-workout. Nice. So 5 years as an iOS developer. Great. What are you building? So I'm going to name this Add Artifact Dialog. All right. I'm a kind of two spaces tab indent person. All right, so we've got this view here, and let's just quickly change this here. And I'm first going to add this to my artifact list screen, and I'm going to create a new toolbar to do that. So we are here, we've got our list, and let me just hide all the stuff that we don't need, the swipe actions, and then we can add a toolbar. This is really funny, right? So these two calls here are literally the same. I'm never quite sure which one to choose. So I think I mostly use this one. Okay, so I guess we need a button. And then it's going to have a plus on it, so I'm going to use, I want an action. That's one thing that always is really a little bit confusing. Okay, so I want an action, and I also want a label, and the action, we get to that in a moment. Actually, you know what? I was kind of hoping. Yeah, here we go. Title key system image. I think this one is nicer. Yeah. Add, and then Command-Shift-L to open this nice dialog here. And then, I mean, I could have typed this myself, right? Because now I need to scroll through and find where is the plus? Where is the plus that is just a plus, right? So we could use this one here, but I just want to have a regular plus. Yeah, so I'll just type it in like this, and here is our action. So, so that's one thing. We probably also need a state. So add state bar. Oh, and now let's see. Last time I talked about my my little helper, my gem. So let's see if I can show this. All right. Okay, here we go. So Google recently released a new feature in Gemini, and it's a feature to build little gems, which are custom-made chatbots. So this one here, let's see, I can show you how it looks like. So I can go into edit mode, and it says, you are a world-class expert for Swift. You know the API design guidelines, the Swift style guide, and all of Apple's sample code. Help me make sure my code is readable and adheres to all the styling and naming conventions. So this is a prompt that I wrote. Well, I wrote the beginnings of it, and then there is this magic wand button that you can press so that it can improve your prompt, and that's what I did. So let's use this here. And now, you know, do you remember last time when I mentioned that I'm never quite sure how to name my variables? So let's try this. So let's say I am working on a SwiftUI app, and I want to display a dialog for adding artifacts. Help me find a good name for the state variable that triggers or controls whether or not the sheet is presented. All right, so let's see. It sounds like you're working on something interesting. Yes, I agree. For state variables that control the presentation of a view, it is common to use a Boolean value. Yes. A clear and concise name that reflects this functionality is important for readability. All right, so here are a couple of suggestions. Presenting add artifact is adding artifact, show add artifact sheet. Okay. Ultimately, the best choice depends on the specific context. Are these conform to the Swift style guide? Let's see. Okay. So apparently all of them are good. Okay, let's use this one. So this needs to be a bool, and I can assign false because in the beginning we don't want to display it. All right, so where here is the toolbar. Okay, and I made a mistake. So this toolbar needs to be on the list. So let's put it here. Cool. So, and then presenting artifact.toggle. Great. And then we also need to display a sheet. And this is presented presenting at artifact. And then we have our add artifact dialog. All right. Okay, so Carter is working mainly on apps that utilize HealthKit and BLE and acceleration. Well, that's exciting. What do you use the acceleration for? There are a bunch of things that I can imagine where acceleration might be useful when you do anything health related, right? For example, if you're in a car and there is a sudden deceleration, maybe there is an accident that's very health related or unhealthy probably. Or is it maybe for when you move fast and you want to identify the movement? That's quite interesting. I remember when I worked on Android Wear in the past, and we first tried to use machine learning, or when we first did use machine learning to identify what kind of movement the person was going through. And I remember that the engineers who worked on this, they did a lot of squats and push-ups in the office to test out their implementation. So that was quite fun. So yeah, that's pretty cool. Okay, so let's see if this works. I'm the kind of person who tries to try out things early. Okay, so let's run this. And okay, no toolbar. Oh, all right. So there is a toolbar. It's up here. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So that's where the default action goes. I prefer having this in the bottom bar. Mainly using it for vibration analysis. Yeah. Oh, wow. Yeah. It is pretty cool. Okay. Okay. So, and this is a thing that where I really feel this could be improved. So so here are a couple of issues, right? So first of all, I mean, it's a good thing that I was able to put my button directly into the toolbar. But the other thing is, one of the reasons why I don't get code completion in here is that, to be honest, a better way to put your buttons into a toolbar is to use a toolbar item. So we need to use a toolbar item, and that has a placement parameter. So I'm going to use this, and then I want to put it into the bottom bar, and then move this up. Okay. And let's try this again. I could use a preview, I guess. Here we go. Okay. And again, this is not in the perfect spot, so I think I would rather prefer it to be on the trailing end. So what we're going to do is we're going to insert another toolbar item, and that will just contain the spacer. And now let me get my preview, because that is probably nicer, but we'll have to wait for the simulator to boot up. And also it takes away space, so yeah. I mean, I have this really nice big screen, but in order for you to be able to see it, I have to reduce the size here. Okay, here we go. Any moment. Well, all right, so no preview today. So we'll run this on the simulator to see if this is what we expected. So toolbar placement is always a little bit of you know, hit and miss, you know, which item comes first. So, but it seems like I did the right thing. So this is now in a place where I wanted it. Okay, cool. All right, so let's go and work on this add artifact dialog. So, and maybe now using the preview is actually not such a bad idea. So what I want to do is I want to put stuff into a list because I want to have something that looks like a form. And there are many ways to do this, and I'm going to show you a few of them. And yeah, let's start here. So first of all, let's say I have a text field, and this text field will have yeah, let's start with this. So a title key, and I think what we first need a URL, and I'm going to do it like this. And then so I could do it like this, and let's maybe start with that $URL. Okay. So this is one way to do it, and this is the kind of like form look and feel. And let's add a couple more text fields. So we also need the title. $title, and let's put it this way. Okay, right? So that is not too bad. But you notice that once I start typing, the hint text disappears. So that is sad or not great. So this is why I want to do this differently. So let me first embed this one here in a section, and then the section will have a title and we'll name it URL. And also I want to make this a required field. So I'm going to do it like this. So I'm going to use the hint text to say whether a field is required or optional, and later on there I'm going to implement form validation to make sure that the user actually provides this. And again here, let me embed this in a section, and this section will be titled title, and this is optional. Okay, so, and this is not too bad, but I think let's use .plain. Okay, so I think this looks nicer, right? So we have our section here, and we've got our title here, and we also need to turn off capitalization. So first of all, let's use text content style to say that this is a URL. And then we're going to use text input auto capitalization style to turn this off. And I'm going to say I never want to auto capitalize this. And it's really so, you would think that this is such a small thing to do, but there are so many applications out there where the developers forgot to do this, and then it's super difficult to input anything with a lowercase. That's lowercase. So, that is why you should really do this first thing to make sure that people can also input lowercase stuff if they want to. Okay, I think this is good. And then let's see, what else do we need? I think this is good for now. And I'm going to do another thing. Navigation title, I'm going to call this add artifact. And then to see what we're doing here, I'm going to call it inside a navigation stack. Navigation stack. Like this. And now we notice that this really should be inline, like that. We also need a toolbar and toolbar item placement, primary action, and it's not add, but it's going to be done. Add is actually correct. And then in here we need to somehow call back to the caller so that the caller knows, okay, we can now add this to our collection of artifacts. And we need another button, and that one is going to be cancel. And in order to cancel, we will just get a add environment. No idea what a presentation manager is. Dismiss, and it's going to be private var dismiss, and then we can just call this in here. Oh yeah, and of course it's not primary action, but is it cancellation action? Yeah, there you go. Nice. It's always good to use context-sensitive naming, because I think this one would also work. I mean, this is way more explicit, but I feel like this is nicer. Okay. Cool. Right. So, and then there is another thing that I often do. So in order to try this out, we can put a button here and then just say, well, this is so we can try this out because we have full control over the preview, right? So we can do anything that we want. We could even like display something that's completely unrelated and throw off our colleagues, which is probably not a good idea. So what I want to do, I want to have this add button. And then when I tap the add button, I want to show this dialog. So we need another state, add previewable, add state, nope, not var URL, var is at, well, what did we call it? We can use the same name. Equals false. Well, in this case, equals true, because we do want to display it right from the start. And then in here, we will just say presenting at artifact.toggle. Okay. And then we will attach a sheet and bind it to .presenting at artifact, and then put this in here. Okay, cool. So let's make this fit. Let's cancel this so it disappears. So I can play around with this right here, which is really good. So, and the cool thing about that is I can now like sketch out exactly how I want my dialog to behave. And then once I'm happy with that, I can add it to my list. Okay, so speaking of which, let's hook this up to our storage. So we've got our artifact store here. So what we can do is we can just inject this into the environment like this. And then up here, we can pull it out of the environment. And again, there is our presentation manager. No idea, no idea. Okay, but what we really want is this one here, and then we'll call it artifact store. Okay, cool. All right, how are you doing, folks? Following along? All right, so, and then we want to add an artifact once the user taps this add button. So before I do that, I'm going to restructure my code here a little bit. So you might remember last time that I told you that I am following this kind of like design pattern. I don't know if I want to call it like that, but you know, Daniel Steinberg inspired me to do this, and I met him last week in Amsterdam, and I told him, "Hey, Daniel, I've been following your inspiration to structure my views in this specific way, and now let me actually do this." So, not environment, extension. So. And because this is an extension, everything in here now moves up into the view. So the reason why I like this so much is that it, you know, it helps me with my mental model. So everything that has to do with state is on my view, and the extension only contains the body. And, you know, should I decide to later use a couple of view builders to create more UI parts, then I can add them here as well. So I met Daniel last week and I told him about this, and he said, "Oh, I'm so sorry. This is broken in the latest version of Swift, in Swift 6. And I was like, oh, really? That is so disappointing. But it's not, thankfully. So we did try it out. I created a very simple bare bones SwiftUI application, put it into Swift 6 language mode, and did exactly that. And it worked out fine. The only thing where this breaks is in a very specific circumstance. So let me show you. And it only breaks if you have an if condition in the root. So let's make this conditional. Okay, this is really smart. So, and maybe they've done this because they've realized that this might be a problem. So, when I use the context menu to turn this into a conditional, and in this case, it is, if true, so this will always be true, always execute. And then it also wrapped this into a VStack. So let's undo this, and I'm just going to do this manually, if true, and then at the bottom, I'm insert this. Okay, so now it says function declares an opaque return type, but has no return statements in its body from which to infer an underlying type. And if that is actually what you want to do, there are two ways to resolve this. The first one is you can just say that this is a view builder, and that helps SwiftUI to understand what's going on here. Or you can do what Xcode did for us. Let me do this again. So make conditional. So it wrapped this into a VStack, right? So VStack is a vertical stack. So all the elements are stacked on top of each other in vertical orientation. And that, that is what you typically have on a screen like that. So one line, next line, next line, next line. And by doing this, you help SwiftUI to understand, oh, you get a VStack here, and everything else is just irrelevant for the view identity because it'll always be this VStack. And then we have our condition here. So, but back to the discussion. Thankfully, this works fine. And for our case, we don't have to have a condition here. Okay, so I have all my state up here, and then I've got my view implementation down here. So, and now instead of binding this to a to plain states, I want to bind this to an artifact. So let's introduce a state here, and private var artifact. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to instantiate an empty artifact. So the title will be empty and the URL will also be empty, like this. And then instead of binding to the .url, we can say .artifact.url, and then do the same here. Artifact.title, then we can remove this. And this should update our artifact here. Cool, so, and then when the user taps on add, we want to add the artifact to our database. So func add artifact. And then we're gonna say, yeah, we need our artifact store. Artifact store dot add, and then our artifact. Okay. Cool. So let's see what happens if we add something. And I'm going to move this here. Make this smaller like that. So http://test.com title, and then tap on add. Oh, of course, I need to call it. Okay, let's try this one more time. Test.com title. Oh yeah, so stuff is happening. So here we go. All right, so this is actually connected to my live Firebase project. So when I do stuff, it will actually go through and do this on my live project. I'm always in two minds about whether that's a good idea or not, because it also means that you know, when you have a preview and that preview reads from Firestore and it reads a collection from Firestore, that means that you will always have at least one read for all of those documents in your collection when this preview goes live or when it shows up. That is really nice for a developer experience, but it also means that you have this additional read on the database. And also it means when you're offline, it doesn't work. So it might be a better idea to mock this away or abstract this away. And I've got an implementation of a store where I do this, where I have a memory store and I have a Firebase store, and then I can switch between them as I need. So that is something that we can look into in one of the next streams. But now let's hook this up to our lists, because this is looking not so bad. And actually, well, it's already here, so we can probably run this on our simulator and then see what's happening, see what happens if we do this on the real simulator. Okay, yeah, so you already see that this is, it doesn't contain enough information. So that is probably also something that we need to make sure to handle. And I'm going to take this URL here so that we have a real URL. And then for now, I need to paste the title manually, and that's obviously not a great developer experience. Oh, and what do I see? We forgot to add our toolbar here. Or, well, the toolbar is there, but it's not in a navigation bar, in a navigation stack. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove this here. Oops, sorry. And then, oh wait, no, this is correct. Here, okay. So instead of doing it this way, I'm going to go here and then wrap the entire thing in a navigation stack. Embed, embed, navigation stack. Okay, let's try this. What's wrong? Cannot find SP. Ooh, what did I do? Oh, that was probably my spacer. Yeah. Okay. Nice. Okay. So let's do it again. Pastes. Take the title. Paste the title. And then let's show this here. Add. And here is our new entry. And we forgot to dismiss. So we'll have to do this manually. Also, I'm not... Oh, what's happening here? So... let's clean this up. And so let me so I'm going to remove this document here. Okay. And let's add this again. Oh no. Let's first change the code to make sure that we dismiss. So okay, run this again. Okay, there is our title. Here is our URL. Let's add this and we have a nice dismiss. Here is our document in Firestore, and now let's look for it here, and here we go. And for some reason we've got 2 of those elements in the database. What is the problem? So I have a suspicion, and it's got to do with identity. So let's run this again and see if we still have 2 of the same element. So essentially, well. So this is complicated because it's also in our seed data set. So what? Okay, so there is a lot of stuff going on that we need to debug. Okay, so we've got sign in with Apple and fetching data from Firestore in real time. So let me run this again to just make sure that we only have those 2 things here. Okay, so we've got those 2 elements and they are actually here. So sign in with Apple and fetching data from Firestore in real time. So folks on the stream, what do you think is wrong? Type in what you think is wrong, and then we'll try to figure it out together. So we've got roughly 15 minutes left. So let's make this a community debug session. So what do you think is wrong? I'm going to show you again what how this looks like. So first of all, let me grab this URL, paste it here, take the title, paste it here, and then let's look at what's happening. So we've got those 2 items, those 2 documents here. I click on add, and there should be a 3rd one appearing in the database, and it's actually here. It's just one turning up here. Okay, so maybe I was just like hallucinating, because the very same thing was already in the data set, in the seed data set. Okay, That's always the easiest way to debug things, right? If it just works. Okay, in that case, what we need to do next is, I mean, it is not great for the user to having to input the URL and the title, and there is more stuff. If you look into the database and if you look at one of those existing documents here, there is the site name, the reading time, and the excerpt, when it was created and stuff like, and the author. So we want to extract those bits and pieces from the metadata, right? So, and if you look at this, for example, if we look into the source code of the page, let me drag this down. Okay, so if we look at the source code of this page here, we can see that there is a lot of metadata in here. So we do have the author, we do have a description, and there is even open graph data. For example, a site name. So in that case, it's the same as the author's name, but if we went to a site, a news site, for example, then the site name would be, let's say, let's go to The Guardian. Let's look at The Guardian. The Guardian. Yeah, there we go. So let's look at The Guardian and what they have. So it's compressed. Let's see. Okay. So we have the description, we have a canonical URL, and then let's see. So robots. There should be more open graph metadata. Okay, lots of stuff. Well, that's interesting. Okay, so it must be somewhere. Let's search. OG title or OG description. No, that is funny. Well, maybe it is encoded somewhere. Let's go to this site and see what Antoine does. So let's look into the head. Okay, so he has a title, he has a description, URL, site name. All right, so this is different here, right? And let's maybe go and look at one of his articles. So here's an article. So I assume that for the author, it says Antoine van der Lee, and there is his profile picture. So locale type is an article. There is the title. Here we have the description. There is the URL. Site name is SwiftUI. And where is the author? There is the author. So author is Antoine van der Lee. Okay, so I want to extract all of this data, and to do that, we can use a library. So Swift Open Graph. So is it this one? Oh, there is even an article that Rudrang wrote. Man, this guy, he wrote about everything. Okay, so this wrapper here allows us to fetch the Open Graph data from a URL. So this looks exactly like what we would need. So I'm gonna start doing this, and then let's see how far we get. So let me double check what I'm going to call this. So we're going to call it metadata service. So, and I'm going to place this here in my model folder. I'm going to clean this up. So for now, we'll just put it here because technically it is part of the model. Oh, okay. Metadata service. And this is going to be public class metadata service. And I want this to be a shared instance, public static let shared is metadata service, and to prevent anyone from making an instance of their own, we'll just make the constructor private, like this. Okay, and then I'm going to add this Open Graph library as a package dependency. Let's see. Open Graph Reader, is that the one that I used? Let me double check. Yeah, I think it is. Let's see. Yeah. I mean, they're very similar, but let's use this one. Okay, we're going to add this to our project. Perfect, like this. Okay, and then import it here. Import open. Well, what is going on? It should be here. So Open Graph Reader. Let's see. README, import Open Graph Reader. Oh, we can just copy everything. Makes it easier for us, like this. And then get this here. And then we will have a function to fetch metadata. Yeah, why not? Why not? Why not? Okay, yeah, let's use AI to, oh, I don't believe so. So, okay, we have the Open Graph Reader. Yeah, we probably need to define this one. So, Open Graph Reader. URL must be unwrapped. And also we want to URL, and probably this is going to be, that's going to be a string. Oops, what happened? So for URL string. Okay. So let's for the moment not do this. Let's get this. If let URL is URL from URL string, we will do all of this. So we instantiate our Open Graph Reader, we get the response from the URL, and then we want to read all of those fields and put them into a struct that helps us to reason about these. So I'm going to use this here. So this is going to be our return from this function. And Let's create it here. Var result is artifact metadata. And we're gonna do it like this. So open graph response dot, oh, well, we have the URL, so we can just return a URL string. The text, let's see. So this should be the full text. Open graph response dot. So we don't get this. So we'll have to do this differently. Reading time we probably also don't get this. Also not. Okay, but all of these. Open graph response dot title dot description. We'll just leave this for the moment. Open graph response dot author. No author. I'm really surprised. Okay. Why don't we get an author? I mean, that is such a typical thing that you want to get. Is there a different way to get this? Oh, look at that. You can do this. Oh, that's this one, though. Okay. Let's see what else he suggests. So we can do this. Okay. So let's see what are... Yeah, so it has a dictionary here, and we can apparently use arbitrary keys in there. Yeah. Which probably is what I might want to do. So let's look at this again. So it's author. Okay, like this. The image URL, and then open graph response dot site name. Okay. Okay, so how? Let's look at the README again. Okay, so we need to do to specify what kind of thing this is. So that is a string value. Oops. Where are we? Here we are. Okay, and then this is probably a cannot convert type of URL to expected. Okay, so this returns a URL. Image secure. Okay. Yeah. Well, I feel bad because we're converting it back and forth. We'll just we'll just do this, and if it's it accepts null values. Okay, so and then let's quickly define an arrow type so that we can use arrows. Enum metadata error is an error, and we can have case invalid URL. We can have case fetch error, case invalid response, case parsing error, and then we want to provide which error that was, and then case extraction error. Okay, so now what we can do, instead of if let URL equals and then wrap the entire thing in this if statement, we'll do guard let URL URL equals URL like this, and if it fails, we will throw metadata error.invalid URL, and then we can remove this. And okay. And then let's see, do I want to return an empty artifact metadata? Yeah, what we can do is we can return an empty. So these can go away. We can throw a parsing error here. That's probably a parsing error. And then we can wrap this one. And let's format this. So, so the URL is something that we do have. So that's going to be the URL string. So we can return that in any case. And then result dot, yeah, so now we're going to have to do this piece by piece like this. So description, image, what else? Let's just, so okay, the title, we have the description, we have the author, we have the image, and the site name. And this needs to be like that. Consecutive statements. Okay, cool. So let's go back to our dialog, add artifact dialog. And now I want to make sure that whenever the URL changes, that I fetch the metadata. So I'm going to, we can put it anywhere we want, but let's do it here. On change of artifact.url. We want to run this. And then update metadata. Okay, so we need to implement this. Func update metadata. And instead of, well, we can fetch this just like this. Metadata service.chat dot fetch metadata for, and then we're going to use artifact.url, and this is an asynchronous call. Okay, well, we can make this async here as well. This can throw. Okay, so in case this throws, we will probably want to display an error message later on, but for now, let's just print it. So, and this try await. Okay, we're not using the result. Let metadata equals try await, and then we can update the artifact. Nope. Artifact dot title equals metadata dot title, obviously. Meta title. So if there is no meta title, we'll just keep this one. So it might not be the best implementation, but let's try this. Okay, and now this needs to be called using await. All right, so let's see if this works. Okay. First of all, does it compile? It does. Okay, so, and since we used this article here, let's try and see what happens if I paste it. Boom, and there you go. So it actually did work. And this is so meta because this article is about main actor usage in Swift explained, and we're using Antoine's tool here to show us the request. So we can now see Antoine's tool displaying the requests that we're sending to his website. How meta is that? And we're even fetching the metadata. So cool. Yeah, looks pretty good to me. So, isn't it funny? I mean, I had a lot more prepared for today, but you never get through the entire thing, and we're also over time. So I want to be mindful of people's time and not like keep you for a lot longer. But isn't it nice that we were able to implement something in the short span of 1 hour? And next time we're going to look into you know, fetching or like bringing this to the next stage. So let me switch to my outro card here. All right. So instead of, you know, taking you through the entire rest of the implementation of this dialog, what I thought we could do next time was actually use Gemini to do some AI here, because that's what I've been promising all the time. So my suggestion for next time is I'm going to finish this in my own time and then do a quick walkthrough next time so people can catch up with what I've done. And then we're going to use Gemini to summarize the article. So the idea would be to download the full text of the article, and we can probably use the something similar to the Open Graph thing. I'm probably going to use a library called SwiftSoup, which makes it easy to read and parse HTML pages. So we're going to do that, download the full text of the page, store it into our Firestore document, and then we're going to use Gemini to create a summary of that full text. And there are a couple of things that I'm super excited about, and I'm really looking forward to showing you. So definitely don't miss out next time. So let me double check the times here. So the plan is to meet on October 27th, but not at 18 o'clock. Instead, it's going to be 20 o'clock, just like today. So the only reason we did 18 o'clock last week was because it was on a Friday, and I didn't want to keep people from going into the weekend earlier, right? So that is why we did it at 18 o'clock last time. So next week, 20 o'clock Central European Time, Wednesday, November 27th. Let me actually double check that. So it should, it should work because today is the 20th, but better safe than sorry. Yeah, so it is the 20th. Next week, 8 o'clock. All right, so, and then obviously the week after. So the week after, I'll be in London to record a video about Genkit. So I'll probably not be available to run the stream on Wednesday, but I'm going to run it on Thursday. And again, it'll be 20 o'clock. I'm going to schedule these on the YouTube channel, and then you can just hit the bell icon, and it's going to be easy for you to tune in. The other thing that you can see here is the Firebase Demo Day live stream. So that's going to happen tomorrow. And for that, the times are correct. So it's going to be 6:30 Central European Time and 9:30 Pacific Day Time, or 12:30 Eastern Day Time, and 16:30 UTC. And with that, we're at the end of the stream. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for following along. If you've got any questions, feel free to drop them into the comment of the video, and I'll do my best to answer them next time. And if you don't want to miss out, then do me a favor, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell icon. It really helps me out, and it also helps you to not miss out next time. All right. I'll see you around. Have a great rest of your day.